Hey, it's Ben and Will from Anchor Up Fitness and Nutrition. Back at another Metabolic Minute. What are we talking about, Will?
Today we're talking about diets. So we all get inundated with tons and tons and tons of different diets. Well, every year, US News takes a look at the most popular diets in the United States and then it ranks them. So this year it took into account 41 different diets. They had a panel of experts that looked at the following factors:
Sustainability, nutritional compound, safety, effectiveness for weight loss, and the protection of diabetes and heart disease.
Absolutely. So a couple things that they didn't look at that we just want to point out real quick before we get into this is they did not look at the active lifestyle of some of the different people who may be trying to go on these diets. And I'm not saying that you can't have an active lifestyle on these diets. What I'm saying is there may be special considerations. So for instance, if you're a runner, you may have to take in more carbohydrates. If you are a lifter, you may have to take in more protein. And on some of these diets, it can be a little difficult just because there are limited sources to take those from.
Right, so we're looking at the top 3 diets on the list. Just because you made the list doesn't mean that you are a good diet. There were 41 total. We're looking at the top 3. Eventually the diets just become all tied for last place and they get the participation trophy of being ranked. The descriptions kind of go on to tell how terrible they are to hold on to. So look at the top 3 and describe them and then kind of tell you how they are alike and what kind of qualifies them to be in the top 3. All right, so the first one's the Mediterranean diet. What does that consist of?
So the Mediterranean diet focuses on fresh food. It focuses on fresh vegetables, fresh fruit, fresh seafood for the most part. So it can be limiting on red meat, it limits poultry, and it limits your dairy intake. So any protein that you take in, or not any protein, but most of the protein that you take in should come from fish or plant-based proteins when you're on it.
Awesome. All right, and secondly, we have the DASH diet. What does DASH stand for?
Yeah, so the DASH diet is a dietary way to stop hypertension. It's pushed by the US government.
And what is hypertension?
Hypertension is high blood pressure.
Oh, learn something every day. All right, so DASH is very similar to the Mediterranean diet. The biggest difference is they want you to have low-fat dairy products. They do allow poultry and red meat. So besides that, it's very similar to the Mediterranean diet. A lot of people are doing the hybrid diets, the Med Dash is what they're kind of coining it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, there's not much of a difference between them, except for that. The Mediterranean diet also, I forgot to add on, adds a little bit of red wine as usual.
Yes.
Which is, I like it.
Probably a bonus for most people.
I can dig it.
Yeah.
And tertiary, which means 3 for Will here.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Is flexible dieting. They called it flexitarian, which I think everything has to have an Aryan nowadays on it. Pescatarian the whole time. So flexible dieting. So what is flexible dieting? We've never covered this.
Yeah, so flexible dieting is actually mostly what we preach in our nutrition. So flexible dieting in a very loose term is saying, essentially you can eat anything you want to as long as it meets your protein, carb, and fat intake for the day. So essentially you are not exceeding your protein, carbs, and fat and basically storing excess calories and storing fat along with that.
Now where the negative connotation comes from flexible dieting is people, they go way right or way left. They say I eat whatever I want as long as I meet these macros.
Yeah.
Or they go way right and say everything has to be 100% perfectly, has to be organic and farm fresh and this and that, or raw, and they tie in different styles of dieting with it, and it makes it complicated. It's not supposed to be complicated. That's why it's flexible dieting. That's why DASH and Mediterranean beat it out when it comes to a third-party observation, because it looks like those are easier to stay on because it's semi-regimented, but it's still loose. Flexible dieting is supposed to be that same way.
Yeah.
And I think that's why those 3 diets came in 1, 2, and 3. And if you ask me, Mediterranean diet is just a form of flexible dieting. If I like fresh fruits and nuts and veggies and I don't like a whole lot of chicken, then cool, I can flexibly diet, eating and not eating some of those sources. The way we always look at flexible dieting is meeting a quantity with quality, but enjoying your food altogether. Yeah.
Right, so that's one thing that the panel pointed out with flexible dieting is that people focus on those macro goals of protein, carbs, and fat, and they don't necessarily concern themselves with some of the quality of the foods that make up the protein, carbs, and fat, which is why it didn't win out for health reasons. And so, for instance, if you're trying to meet your protein goals and you're eating beef jerky all day long, in order to do that, it's probably not the healthiest way to get your protein in. So that was one thing they pointed out, and I think that's where a Mediterranean diet does have an edge, because Mediterranean diet, built into it, is fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, fresh meat when you can. And since they have that focus on fresh, not only is it more sustainable, but it's high quality food that you're taking in the whole time.
Right, so I think our main takeaway from this and the ranking system is to structure your diet with foods you enjoy that have a purpose. Don't always eat for fun. Don't always eat for fuel, performance-wise. Find that happy spot where you can kind of teeter back and forth, and you can enjoy your red wine, you can enjoy a slice or two of pizza, not an entire thing. Find that happy median and run with it. If y'all have any questions nutrition-wise, please post them in the comments. If you're uncomfortable with putting those in the comments, then feel free to message us directly. We will respond 100% guaranteed.
All right, take care everyone. Have a good day.
Have a good one.